Okay. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, okay, 16, 17, 18, but 18 is not there. 19, so 18 is absent, fine, till 24, 25, Banupriya, 26, Bhargav Reddy, 27, 28, 29, 30, Chandan, 30, fine. Let me stop here. So, let's begin with our today's class. The next thing, so let's start with the next topic, design and implementation. Okay. Till previously you learned about requirements gathering and then you learned about design also for you learn the system models, that is context model, interaction models, structural models, behavioral models. Let's next come to the next topic. What you have is design and implementation. Now, in design and implementation, first you learned about RAP. Now you have something known as design principles. Excuse me. And the first design principle what you have is object oriented design using UML. Fine. So, something actually, whatever I'm going to teach you now in this module or in this topic is somewhat similar to what you have learned in the previous sections. Okay, only thing is you learned the design with respect to general software development. But here you will be learning software design and implementation with respect to object oriented programming. Fine. So, what is software engineering, software design and implementation? It is a safe stage of software engineering process which involves development of a executable system software. So, in this phase, you will develop or actual coding of the software takes place. So, here we can say that design and implementation is its software engineering process. So what does the software engineering process do? It develops an executable software. So software development, actual coding is done during this process. Now, software design and implementation activities are invariably interleaved. That is something like a, what can we say? They are something. They are tightly coupled. Okay. So in design, what we do is we create is a creative activity in which we identify system components, their relationship based on the customer requirements. And in implementation, what we do is realize the design as a program. If it is a very simple program or a software, you don't come up with a design. Like what coding you do in your labs? Yours is the worst case, tell me. There is a manual, you copy and paste. You don't even do the implementation on your own. Let's take, for example, you are doing actually practically, you are developing a program. That we call it as implementation. So, if it is a complex thing that you are implementing, then what we do is we first come up with a design. The design, it's they say it as a creative activity. Why it is creative activity? See, when you come up with a drawing, the drawing may be very good. The drawing may be very bad. If it is a very good drawing, it will convey to whoever is seeing what you wanted to represent it artistically, right? But if it is a poor drawing, yes, it may convey it in a different way. I think your friend in software requirements engineering, he put a figure, right? So that correctly tells what we want. Fine. So this design is a creative activity wherein we identify the components and come up with, and also the relationship between the components. And how do we come up with this design? Based on the requirements of the customer, or maybe based on the requirements document, what it is collected. Fine. So implementation is nothing but implementing the design. So I hope you got to know about the two things. Now, there are two trade-offs involved. One can be build or the other can be buy. See, let's say for example, there is something known as COTS, off-the-shelf objects. Okay, it is called off-the-shelf systems. What do I mean by off-the-shelf systems? See, let's say for example, I have developed a software for some microwave, right? You have learned that microwave system. Fine. We call it as a commercially off-the-shelf systems or software, COTS system. What does it mean is once I have developed a package or a software for such one company, I can reuse it for the other systems or for the other customers. Now, for this microwave product itself, let's say I have developed it for LG company. Later, some other company comes, okay, Samsung or whatever. Now, maybe there are few changes. So those few changes we customize whatever based on their requirements, but we will be reusing whatever is already available. Fine. Can you tell one more example for such kinds of softwares? Commercial off-the-shelf projects, products or systems? Any other example which can be reused for different companies or for different customers? One thing is already on the slide. Rishita? Rishita, are you online? Yeah, thank you, at least for replying. Can you give an example wherein a product is already available? Let's say something, a product you have developed, okay? You have used for given it for one customer. Later, you can use the same product for a different customer. Something like that. It's there in the slide, dear. If you read out only, it is enough. Madam, at least can you switch on your microphone? Now, if your people are not responding, I will do one thing. I will or disable the auto admit. You're just simply logging in and you're logging out. When I started taking the attendance, it became 73. Now your people are just leaving the class. Really pathetic, I'm telling you. Yours is the worst batch of students I've ever seen. And if you think you can continue like this, please keep it in your dreams. Madam Ankita, if you're there in the class, please give me an example for a COTS application. So there are several of there are several COTS applications which are available. One I said was a microwave. The other example what is given is a medical record system. So, see, if I develop a software for a medical system, then what happens is if a hospital management system is being developed for one hospital, okay, so that can be reused. Suppose some companies, for example, um, let's take for Infosys, they are very popular, or they are very, uh, uh, what can I say, a company which is very versed in banking application. So most of the times, no, no, Abhishek, MS Office will not come for a COTS application. It is only for Microsoft products. G Suite, yes, will they change the G Suite settings? No, Aryan. G Suite also, no. I will give you an example later, you can understand. See, let's say for a banking application. Huh, okay, fine, I understand. But G Suite Aryan, they will not make so much changes. They will do only configuration changes for a particular company or for a school, but they will not change the product to certain extent. So that is the reason I said G Suite will not be applicable for companies or for schools. They will be only applicable, even though if they will change for companies and schools, they will only, what they will do is they will only change a little bit of configuration settings. That is, there are 10 features based on your payment, what you are doing. Let's say for our G Suite only, our college domain ID, okay. For free, how much ever they can give, if there are 10 features, they'll give you only 5 features. Fine. And if you are paying, they'll give you all the 10 features. Let's say 5 features. Let's take our college example only. Previously, they were selling all the recorded, everything is for free, use it. But nowadays, they are telling, see, the this G Suite, they might take off the free space available for the recordings. So you have to download it and keep it. So that is something like configurations. Okay, what we mean by COTS application is, let's say for I said Infosys, they develop only software for most of the Infosys softwares are famous for banking applications. So let's say for example, they are developing a software for a bank, HDFC. Okay, fine. They have already developed, they have invested resources on that. Now, tomorrow, SBI may ask Infosys to come up with a software for their banking. Do you think they will develop a banking application completely new for SBI? Ma'am, they can reuse it, but SBI and HDFC, they have different requirements. There may be a change in the requirements, okay? A little features which may change. But yes, banking application will all be one and the same, certain core functionality. So, in order to support that, they use the SCOTS application. What the SCOT does is, basic framework, it will be the same. Fine. And over the top of it, they will make some changes. So they will make some changes and develop the system, or give it to a particular customer. Similarly, I said this microwave products, and even softwares which are developed for vehicles. Okay, embedded system software. See, the embedded system software basic work functionality will be the same, but yes, the hardware chip which they use for different companies may be different. So only certain things they will change, and they will reuse the code. So that is known as commercially available software. But certain applications will be completely different for each of the customer. Let's take for example, if I am coming up with a asking a customer to come up with our department website. Now, here you can say, ma'am, we can buy something also. Yeah, that is also available. But let's say something we are only for our department or only for our faculty or something like that. So it is developed only for certain customer, keeping in mind a certain customer. Okay. So if it is a commercially off the shelf product, we actually buy. Otherwise, we build the software from scratch. Fine. Am I clear with this topic? So the next what you have is object-oriented design using UML. So what is this object-oriented design? See, object-oriented design involves designing object classes and relationship between these classes. Have you heard this? Objects and classes? Yeah. Have I done something called objects or classes? Yes? No? Yes. Okay. So here, ma'am, this is again a repetition, yes, because the second module you had was completely different, and here, there they taught you what is an object, what is a class, how to identify it, and association. Here also it is an extension, or we can say something applying it to object-oriented design. So this object-oriented design process involves designing of object classes and relationship between the classes. So these classes, what they define is objects and their interactions. And when such a design is realized as an executing program, objects are created dynamically from the class definitions. I don't know how many of you are familiar with object-oriented programming. Even if you have not learned it, later you will learn. So what does it involve is, here you would have defined classes and objects that within your design. And in the implementation phase, what we do is we actually code the classes. That is, we implement. There is a way of coding classes using different object-oriented programming languages like C++, .NET, C Sharp, like that. Okay, you can implement it. These classes. Once you have implemented the classes, you can create the objects dynamically from these class definitions. Fine. So basically it involves designing of classes and objects, and in implementation we code the classes and objects are created dynamically. Ma'am, it is too much over the head. Fine, leave it. Once you learn next semester object oriented programming you have, then you will get a real feel of what do you mean by dynamically. Dynamically means it is at runtime. Fine. Have you learned the term dynamically somewhere? That word dynamic, somewhere you have learned in some subject. Which? I can give you examples. In C, I don't know, in third, second semester you learned. Thank you so much, Kavya. Chandan, I don't know about physics, but I will say about C programming and what Kavya said, dynamically allocated memory. Yeah, what are dynamically allocated memory function calls? Don't tell me you don't know. In data structures first module, what you have is that only. Yeah, calloc and malloc. Right? Yeah, realloc. What does it mean? So if you have understood this concept, then it will be easier to map. See, dynamically means at the runtime you are taking the memory requirement and calculating the memory, right? Here also you will create those objects. Actually, the same thing applies here. The objects will be created, or we can say variables will be created at runtime. That concept is supported in object oriented programming or object oriented design using the concept known as objects. Okay, ma'am, it is going overboard. Fine, leave it. Imagine object in implementation can is implemented or created dynamically. Fine. So, what is the use of using object oriented systems? Here, the systems are easier to change. Ma'am, why are we learning so much of object oriented programming? That is a question, right, ma'am? Second module, again, so many other modules. You are keep on learning object-oriented design, object-oriented implementation, all of that. Why are we learning so much? See, one of the advantages of this object-oriented system is it is easier to change the system which is developed rather than the functional programming. See, there are two approaches of programming. One is functional oriented, the other is or procedure oriented programming, the other is object oriented programming. Can you give an example of procedure oriented programming, what you have learnt? Your C programming is nothing but procedure oriented programming, wherein you write a program using only functions. Whereas in object oriented programming, you design the programs using classes and objects. Why classes and objects, ma'am? Because managing the code using this object oriented programming is easier. That is maintainability, modification, everything is easier in object oriented systems. So, how it is easier? You will learn it once you start coding, you will learn about it. The reason is if you want to make any changes in the code, you need not have to trace the entire program. So, so the advantage of object-oriented system is it improves the maintainability, understandability, and all of that. See, if you want to make certain changes, let's say I developed a code today, okay, and I'm using it. Fine. Tomorrow, after 6 months, I want to make changes. There are n number of places I want to make changes, and I have already forgotten, right? So, is it difficult to keep track of it, right? That is the maintainability of that code is difficult. So, In order to avoid it, what we do in class object oriented design is we only have to make changes in the classes or in the objects. You need not have to change everywhere else. So that is the reason people opt for object oriented programming languages or object oriented design. So some of the common activities that are defined within the object oriented processes are, the first one is that is, so let's take an example of where we have to design an object oriented system. So the different phases, or I can say the different steps involved in object oriented design are: first, understand and define the context and external interactions of the system. Second one is design the system architecture. So in your textbook, it is defined as or given as understand and define the context and the external interactions with the system. First thing is you have to know the context or the external interactions. The second thing is we have to design the system architecture. The third one is identify the principal objects in the system. Fourth one is develop the design models. And fifth one is specify object interfaces. So let's consider each of this phase. Okay. So there are five phases which are involved in object oriented design. First one is understanding the context and external interactions. The second one is designing the system architecture. The third one is identify the principal system objects. Fourth one is develop the system models. Fifth one is object interfaces. Now here also it is a little bit overlapping because you have already learned context models, external interactions, how to develop the architecture and all of that. But yes, let's redo it and learn it with respect to object oriented design. Fine? Any doubts? Any doubts till now? Still my voice is breaking? See, first understand what I'm actually, yeah, I really know today I'm feeling really bad. I don't know how many of you are listening. I think hardly five or six of you. I don't feel like continuing only. I'm just feeling that I'm teaching to this computer here. Is it really worth putting so much effort preparing and teaching you is what I am feeling nowadays. Chetana, still my voice is breaking. Can you hear it now? Okay, fine. There are two types of software. Just coming to the gist. There are two types of software products that can be developed. One is function oriented and other is object oriented. What is function oriented? Function oriented is a normal program what you write now in C. The C or the program or the software consists only of procedures or functions. I hope you all know function oriented or procedure oriented programming. Yes? Fine? Okay. The second type of software is object oriented softwares. Object oriented softwares are like, I'll give you first example: C++, C sharp, whatever programming languages you use and develop software. If you write a software using C++ or C sharp .NET, Java, all that, no, that will become an object oriented programming software. Okay. Ma'am, when I've already learned C, why are you teaching object oriented programming language? One reason is maintainability and understandability and also complexity. See, if you write a simple program, printf and any other softwares, it is easier to write in C. But if your program size or the complexity of the program increases, it becomes very difficult for you to manage the program. So they came up with object oriented programming language. Fine, ma'am, I know C programming. Then what is this object oriented programming? Object oriented program is a program that involves objects and classes. What are classes and objects? I taught you in second module all those rectangular boxes, like for a student class means it has attributes like student name, USN, semester, college, all of that, right? And it has, along with attributes, what does it have? Functions, functions like get marks, calculate percentage, all that. So that is nothing but if a program involves classes and objects, then it is known as object oriented programming language. Got it? So I have predefined functions. What? Okay, I don't know predefined functions, but I can say within your whatever I taught you in the class, something like this, because I don't want to give students another name for it and make that confusing. Something like this I explained. Do you remember? Up there is a name of the class, and here on the first box you have attributes, and in the second box you have operations. Remember that? That kind of software is known as object oriented software. It has basically classes and objects. So you know there are two types of one application. Any application can be either developed using procedure oriented or object oriented. Did you get it? So if you have a program, let's say this is your program. So let's say I have an application or a software to develop. Some customer comes for me asking that develop this application or a software A. Okay. When you are given a software to be developed or a problem that needs to be developed, you have two choices. Either go to first choice, that is object oriented programming, or go to C programming. C programming is nothing procedure oriented programming, it is called. As this one is, so The same software or an application or a project can be either developed using procedure oriented programming like C or object oriented programming like C++, or let me for your example give it as Java. Did you now get it? There are two ways. Either you take this or you take this way. Now, ma'am, which one you should take? Yes, there are ways of deciding it. Okay. Now, if you have chosen a way to develop this software or an application using object oriented programming, then what I need to follow? I need to follow these steps. Did you get the context of what I am trying to explain now? See, this complete thing, what I told you, this case, develop a project using OOPS, right? Object oriented programming. So, in order to do that, how will I do the design and implementation phase? The design and implementation phase will involve this. Fine. Is the context clear for you all? Yes, respond, guys. Is it confusing? Excuse me. So, while designing this system and explaining these phases, they will take the example of a use case called wilderness weather station. Who explained the wilderness weather station use case? Who explained that use case? At least that you can tell. So you guys are all writing your assignment because from ninth is you have internals. Are you listening to me or people who, the girl or the person who gave that wildness weather station? So they are not listening now to my class. Oh God. Okay, guys. Let's take the first step. I can't do anything more than this, but your future in your hands. I mean, what are you people doing? 73 students you have logged in. And what are you people doing? I just don't want to call out your names also. If I call out your names also, you will not respond. USN 31? Sir, you're listening to the class, Chandrakant? Yes. Okay. I don't think so. I can scold anymore, anything anymore, and whatever I tell, it is not going. But one thing, I will also stop responding from now onwards if you people are not responding. So the first step involves identifying the system context and interactions. So this involves develop an understanding of the relationship between the software that is being designed and its external environment. We have already learned it in system model and interaction models, or context models and interaction models. In design modules, there is a second module you learned about something known as interaction models and system models. So this applies to that phase, okay, wherein you will learn what the system about the system that needs to be designed and its external environment. Why? Because we need a clear distinguishing feature between what has to be the functionality that needs to be developed in the system. Let's say, for example, I am having this application or a software A I need to develop. So, in this context model, what I will learn is the first phase, what will I learn is what are the functionalities. Suppose there are 4 or 5 functionalities which I want to implement. I will give those functionalities in the first phase, and I'll also define the environment. Why I need to define the environment is I need to get to know the boundaries associated with the system, what I have to do and what the other person has to do. Let's say this software or an application is working in association with another application here. Okay, there is an interaction between both of these softwares. Let's think it like that. Fine. Now, I need to know what is the boundary here, what I have to develop here, and what is the functionality of this one. Otherwise, it will be a problem like later telling, ma'am, they asked, it was their part and it is not mine. Or we will say, it is my part, it is not there. So there will be a duplication or there may be a problem. So in order to do that, this context model and interaction model comes up with the actual interaction of the system. Okay, what functionalities and the boundaries that are associated with the system is given within this model. So one way to develop that is come up with a system context diagram or come up with use case diagram. Fine. So if you want to come up with a in order to come up with a context model, we use use case models. I hope you all know use case models. So this is a use case model. This gives the actor that is associated and what are the functionalities associated with the actor. Let's say, I think I've explained this n number of times in the context models also and in OOMD second module. So let's say, imagine there is an actor called nurse for insulin control system. What are the functionalities available for that actor? We identified, right? Similarly, in this model, they have given an example of the weather weather station. So let's say, for example, there is a weather station control system. So the control system has these many functionalities, that is restart, shutdown, reconfigure, and power save and remote control. So we can identify the functionalities of the systems using these use cases. Okay. So I will have a restart, I will have a shutdown, reconfiguration, and remote control as the functionalities associated with the actor control system. Similarly, I have another actor called weather information system. Now, this has functions like report weather and report status. So if there is another actor, let's case for example some weather station. So what are the functionalities with respect to that um, actor I can give, and that will give me the functionality. So I can use cases diagrams of UML in order to come up with the state context models or to come up with the functionality of the system. The next thing what you have is the interaction model. In order to come up with the interaction model, that is I hope you all know the system context model is static. It means it shows what are the functionalities available. But the interaction model is dynamic model. Dynamic means it shows how the system interacts with its environment. So in the same example, you can see here I can say how what are the functionalities available, but how this functionality works, it has never been given, right? How do I restart or how do I start or anything? Can you tell me some any model which shows you the interactions or how the event goes or how the sequence is given? If I say shutdown, what are the activities involved within the shutdown? All such kinds of descriptions are given in what diagram? I've taught you some diagram. Which diagram is that? Thanks, Chandrakant and Pranati. Sequence diagram. So, sequence diagram is a dynamic diagram. And state machine model. One day I troubled you with microwave diagram. Do you remember? Explain how a microwave works. That is also dynamic, right? It will show what are the events, and once that event happens, what will be the next state it goes to. So, those are all dynamic models, but this is a static model. Very happy. Thank you so much for responding. So, this system context also can be represented by another model here known as system context model. Fine. Here it shows the different functions or different states the system in. So the weather station system has four models or four, I can say, phases. One is not even phases, I can say components. Okay, it has four components. One is a satellite, the other is a weather information system, the other is the system is control system, and the other one is weather station. Okay, now, the arrow mark gives me, it's not an arrow mark, the link gives us how they are associated, how one module is associated with the other module, or how one component is associated with the other component. And also, the type of association is given. So, let's take for example here. One is a weather information system. So it is like a software system, okay, which will collect all the information about the weather data. Fine. Weather station is like it is in different geographical locations, and it sends the data to the weather information system. So it is like a client and this is like a server. Fine. It is a distributed architecture. If you don't know, I would request you to go through that use case. I don't want to spend my time explaining again. Then we have a satellite. The satellite is used for getting the information from this weather station and as well as for sending information for this weather information system. Okay. Then you have a control system. Control system is like suppose there are certain tools or certain systems or hardware devices available in weather station. You want to start it like uh, the one which is given in your textbook is there is a device which controls the rainfall at a particular location at particular time. Okay, suppose that system is that device is not working, you need to restart it or you need to shut down it because you need to maintain that. All that is controlled within this control system. So these are the components which are available for that weather station, and the links gives the association between these weather station. This gives the type of association. I've already taught you the type of associations. Okay, can someone say what does this weather information system says one and the satellite says one? That is here. What does this one and one mean? Yes, one-to-one association. What is that one-to-one association? What, Ananya, you have studied already for your internals SC? Very good. Hmm. So, Ananya, then what is this? What type of association is this? Hmm. Good. Thank you. Okay, Saif, what do you mean by one to many means? Okay, fine. Fine. See, one problem of software engineering subject is if you have learned, I think I've troubled you with this with so many classes. Yes or no? Do you remember how much I made you suffer? So maybe you will understand it. But the problem is, ma'am, how do we convey it? That is the problem in software engineering. If you don't read it, you will don't know how to write it, even though you know it is there in your head. It is all common sense. If you say yes, common sense, convey your common sense about this diagram. That is where you get struck. Thanks, IF. That is one satellite, one instance of a satellite or one satellite can be associated with one or many weather stations. One satellite may be associated with one or many weather stations. An example may be there is one satellite they have put, okay, there are n number of weather stations, one in north of India, one in east, west and south. Okay, so that satellite will communicate with all four weather stations. So one satellite is giving data or communicating with the four weather stations in India. Yes, that is what we call one to many. Maybe let's say for example, weather station in north, east and west have been shut down due to some reason. Then the satellite is communicating only with one weather station that is in the south. So that kind of relationship is known as one to many. Fine. The rest of the associations, I'm fine. I think you can analyze. Will you analyze? There are how many associations? One, two, three, four, and five. Please go through it. Lavanya, see, association arrangements can vary, ma'am. In this case, what they have done is they have taken this as an example. That is, that this is the requirement. Now, I can say I will develop a system, ma'am, wherein I don't want one satellite with one weather station. If one satellite is with many weather station, it is causing a problem or there are some disadvantage. And you might say, ma'am, I will remove this. Okay. See, that will be your system, what you are designing. I won't say it is wrong. But what they have done is in your textbook, they have taken this as the use, this as a way of the system, and they have explained everything with respect to this system. Fine. So I feel that what you wanted to know is from what question, ma'am, assume in the exam I forget to write some association is wrong, or I don't write it something like, or I have to do this diagram only, write it in this way only. That is what your question was indirectly. That's what I understood. Seepa, um, ma'am, I forgot one association. Okay. If you have the diagram should be this only. Don't try to come up with your own weather station use case. Reason being is this applies to everyone. All of you who are in the class, please listen to this. You might say the insulin problem. I will come up with my own insulin problem, ma'am. I don't want in the textbook. Fine. Or you might say, what is the other example what you have got? Patient management healthcare system. Ma'am, I will not take that multiple hospital or clinic. I will change. Please don't do that. Person who is evaluating your answer script will be given this use case which is there in the textbook. And they will be coming up or correcting your paper based on that case. And imagine when you say, when you, in the example, when you're writing this, Lavanya, let's say you are taking this example. Okay, first phase you are explaining. You will not explain. See, this question is there. Explain the what object-oriented design using UML for a weather station. Not weather station, object-oriented design for this question comes. Object oriented design using UML. Now you will explain these four phases, okay? Five phases, sorry. And when you come to the first phase, in this question you already have in assignment too, okay? So when for this point you will explain this diagram. Imagine for explaining that diagram, you will, ma'am, should I have to explain what this weather station means? Please don't explain it. By default, it means it is the use case of the weather station. Did you understand, Lavanya? Now, if you change this use case, what happens is you have to explain what is your own use case. Will you be able to do it within that time span? Explaining those 5 points only will not be, there will be no time for you. Will you be able to tell what is this weather station or something like that? No, right? So please take that use case, what is there in the textbook, as it is. Okay? And let these components be as it is. Yes, Lavanya, I know sometimes not only you, if me also, if they give me exam tomorrow and ask whether this association, will it be exactly, will you reproduce it, ma'am? Yes, I might somewhere make it wrong. It is okay. Okay, don't take it so, you can't, there will be like n number of diagrams you will learn in SC. So sometimes you might miss. It is fine. Minor errors here or there, if you miss, it is fine. But if your diagram here is itself wrong and you don't have this, okay, and you don't have a satellite, and if you say this is the diagram for context model for weather station, if you just write to these components and give, ma'am, will they give me marks? Then definitely you will lose marks. Lots of marks. So I hope I answered your question now. This applies to all the students. Don't come to me after the internals. I'll know, ma'am, it is the same diagram. I missed only this much. You have cut marks for it. Yes, I will cut marks for that. Ma'am, the same diagram my friend has written. That line she has drawn, and I have not drawn this line. Ma'am, there are two boxes. I have drawn two boxes. She has written 4 marks. You have given her 5 marks. You have given me 0. Why, ma'am? I think for all those questions, this is the answer. Did you get it? Fine. That is the reason I said in the first module also, insulin, patient healthcare, and weather station. You should know what does that mean, and you have to learn diagrams for that use case. And don't think I will come up with my own use case. I'm very good at it. In examination, you will not have time to reproduce what you have learnt. So coming up with your own is the most impossible thing that can happen. So fine, you can have a diagram like this for identifying the functionality, and those functionalities can be given in a tabular format also. This also I have explained in the context models, the name of the use case, the actors involved, then the description of what that use case does. Then I have stimulus. How is it invoked? What is the response? What is the comment? One question might come, ma'am, the same thing, there was a use case for patient healthcare monitoring system in the second module. Can I write it? Um, if you write it and explain it here, in the internals, I will give you marks, but in the examination, I can't assure you. Reason being is people who correct or do the valuation, for them, the question paper whoever sets would have given the answer script also. What the answer should be and how much the marks distribution should be for that answer. So if they have given there to write the weather control system and if you have written for something else, then you will lose marks. Okay, that's the only reason. Okay, as the only thing I said is you can either reproduce the same example or of somewhere else, but I would insist you please write what is there in the textbook for that particular answer. That is, mm, in this for system context, use case here, according to your object oriented model, they have given for weather. Ma'am, can I write it for patient healthcare management? Because patient healthcare, now though half of you have not listened to the class. That's why you will never know what I am talking about. So you have learnt a different use case, right? Can I write a different use case here? For that, if you do it in the internals, I will give you marks. But in the examination, I am not sure about it. Reason being is whatever they have given in the answer script, they will evaluate based on that. Did you get it? My voice is still breaking. I have told every tip and what you have to do in the internals. Message me the day before the internals or send me in the WhatsApp the same question. What should I write? Then I will do what I have to do. Okay. Next is architectural design. First step was fine. This is where we were. I'm done with this step. Understanding the context and the interactions. In the context, it was use cases and external interaction. It was context model. So next, step 2 is designing the system architecture. So Once we have identified the functionality and the constraints with the external system, the next step is designing the system architecture. Okay. Now, in the system architecture, what do is we identify the major components that make up the system and also the interaction between the system components. So, in the architectural design, what we try to do is we try to come up with the main components of the system. What are the major components? We try to find that, and also how these components interact with one another. That is also identified in architectural design. Now, first, you can come up with the now when coming up with this architectural design, you may use an architectural pattern. So what do we mean by pattern is there are basically certain designs which are been already been you will learn in the coming next topic known as design patterns. So what they do is they have basically told some design patterns for certain kinds of application. See, suppose if it is a something like a client server communication or a web based application, then they will say use client server model. Okay. Suppose you are developing a distributed application or layered approach or something like that. Okay, they have a have a pattern. Why we have to use the same only, ma'am? We have we ca- Yes, it is not a hard and fast rule, but it is better to use it. Why means they have tested it and they have verified it. So what happens is by using that, there are so many things you will be solving. See, naturally, if it is the first product which you are designing, you will not know in and out of it. So if someone has already done it, we will try to copy it, right? Fine. First two times you will copy, third time then you will start try to write it on your own. Okay. So that is what here. You are copying some pattern and it is a legal way of copying. That's it. So they have come up with these patterns in such a way that let everyone copy it. So they have given that framework. So it means does not mean that directly you will copy the code. How to write the code you will copy from there and you will use your own code within that. So you can use an already existing pattern and come up with the architecture. So so a high level architecture for the weather station is given like this. So what are the different components it involves? One is a fault manager, the other is a configuration manager, then you have a power manager and subsidiary instruments component and data collection system and communication system. All of these are communicate together or interact with one another using this communication link. So this is your high level architecture. Now each of these component you can in turn expand it. Okay, let's say for example there is a data connection component. We can expand this component and develop an architecture for that component. See, this was your data collection component. So this is the overall architecture of the system. Then I expand this data collection component and come up with the architecture for the data collection component. So, so if this is a data collection component, in within that you have components called transmitter, receiver, and weather data. So in this, what does this data collection component do is it will collect the weather data. So there is a receiver which will send the data to the weather data, and there is a transmitter which will get the data from the weather data. So you have a components like in this weather station for faulty manager to check if something goes wrong, configurations for system settings, power manager for backup power and so on, instruments, data collection, communication, all of that. Okay. So this is the high level architecture for weather station, and in turn You have a sub-level architecture for this data collection. Like that, you can have architectures for communications and instruments, power manager, and configuration manager, fault manager. See, this data collection may use a producer consumer model. Producer consumer model or a pattern means one produces and the other consumes. So, who is the producer here? Receiver. And who is the consumer? Transmitter. So, if you use that producer consumer pattern, what happens is it is basically for something all kinds of application with this. So they will tell you what is the type of code you have to write, how the design should be, so that you don't make mistakes. It is a trial and tested way of doing things. So patterns are nothing but trial and tested ways of doing things which you can incorporate in your projects. Let's say, for example, I have a communication model. See, I can expand this communication model. Okay. And here, this communication model, I can make it based on client server pattern. So there is a client, there is a server, and communication happens. Like that, I can develop this communication. There's fault manager, okay, you can develop. Maybe this configuration manager, yeah, I cannot apply any pattern. I will design my own thing and write it. Yes, you can do it. So high level design is nothing but identifying the different components and also knowing how these components it interacts with one another and subdividing these components like the main component, then the subcomponents I design it again. Am I clear? Okay with this? Okay. 31. Please check the system and let me know if you have any doubts. 32. Yeah, Chandrakant. That time only you responded. I marked you present. 33. 34. 35. 36. 37. 38. 39. 40. 41. 42. 43. 44. 45. 46. 47. Gaganashri. 46. 47. 48. 49. 50. 51. I don't want anyone to log out of the meeting. You log out, I will take attendance again. I will just note down who are the people logging out right now. I will mark their names and mark them absent. 52. 53. 54. 55. 56. 57. 58. 59. 60. Madam Ishita, really, this is very annoying. When I've asked you for 10 times for a particular question at the start of the class, you were not there. If you have any issues, please don't attend class, sir. Anyway, 80% attendance is what you have to need. If you have something very important, please don't attend class, sir. Just coming here, logging in. uh, I don't want anyone sorry. Coming and logging in, I calling out your name for 10 times, 20 times, and after the 30th time, you tell network problem. I didn't have my microphone is not working. See, I'm not so much dumb. I understand. Even when you come to college, there are certain days you will not have to, you can't attend classes. You're sick, you're not well, or you're not in a mood. It is okay. But coming to the class, you're online and you're muted. And Madam Nishita, please don't tell this. Voice was breaking. I think I've called your time around 10 times. 63 done. 64. For whatever I have to find, Ishita. But really, I say, what I want to say is, it is really annoying. Not only you, there were other students also. 64 is absent. 65.
Present.
66. 66. Karthik. 67. 68. 69. 70. 71. 72. 73. Yeah. Uh, Please, Kamal Nayan's friend, tell him, ma'am marked him absent. Okay. Yes. He will say network connectivity problem. Now he will log in again. Let him log in. 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 84, Monish, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 84, 87, 89, 90, 64, 66, 48, 52, 57, 50, 34, 37, 40, 45. I marked absent. Okay, 30 Chandan present. Fine. 24, 25. No, not 24. 25, 26, 27, and 18. Marked absent. Yeah, Janvi, I marked you present. 19. Ankita Nata. Yeah, I marked you present, pa. Asta also marked present. I think I missed you marking absent here. Then I have 9 and 10 marked absent today. Okay. Sahil 80 marked present, sir. Okay, guys. Why I asked you to stay back, I mean, not log out is now you have your internals. So I hope you all know that you have to write your answers and upload those answers. Yes? Do you know the instructions? Yes or no? Have you got those instructions? Do you know your timetable? Yeah? Okay. Janvi, last day was first. I don't know when I will, from today evening or tomorrow morning, I will just start looking into the assignments and marking a tick whether have you submitted the assignment or not. Okay. If they say from the college, don't give them internals if they're not submitted the assignment or something like that, then don't tell me. You know, right? You have to submit your assignments before writing the internals. See in, yeah, please submit it today. Fine for others who have not written. Last warning, last permission I can give is end of the day tomorrow. After that, I will take a note of who and all I've submitted. Is it fine? After that, I can't keep on waiting. Tomorrow, by end of the day tomorrow, please submit all of your assignments. Those who have not written, please start writing. See, the only thing I want. Yes, yes. Name as well as USN. Both. Yeah. The thing what I wanted to convey to you students is, see, if you are getting any ideas of copying or reproducing someone who has already written or circulating the answers for your internals, please leave it. Now, I don't want anyone once minor spelling mistake of this or that can make out if you have written or someone else has written. And software engineering is such a subject that it is you have to write pages together. Fine. So please start studying. Okay, Ankita. So please start studying and note down the points and the diagrams. Everywhere the diagrams, everywhere the explanation required for these diagrams should be there. And ma'am, the answer may be like I don't know, I've already told you. See, if the question comes for less marks or for four more marks, please try to expand it. Suppose I have given so many designs or different components, okay? There are four or five types. In the test, I might ask you one category within that four. So it does not mean you write all the four categories. So please read the questions and how much mark the question is for, and please write your answers. Now that is the reason for your assignment I had asked you to write complete answers, even though it takes too much of time and pages. But for your internals, it does not mean that you have to write so much. If in the assignment it was a 10 pages answer, don't think about writing those 10 pages answer if I have given for 1 or 2 marks. Okay? So please use your common sense and write. So those things no one will tell you. That's the reason I am trying to tell you, please don't try to copy. If you have written from the assignment, if you are trying to copy, it will never match what you have written for how much marks and what you are going to write in the exam for the internals for how much marks. Do you agree with that? If you write like that, you will there will be no time for you to complete your SE internals. If you write everything like that, copying from the textbook or from your assignment, you will not have time to complete your SE internals. Then if you come to me and say, ma'am, I did not have time to write the second answers, first only I wrote for 1.5 hours, that is not my problem. Did you understand? So this is possible for you to complete the SE test. Only way is if you know what to write for what answer and what is the marks for that. So sincerely prepare for your internals. Okay. So I hope I have told you what I wanted to convey you. I have conveyed. So that's the reason I'm conveying it to you 4 or 5 days earlier so that you start studying. And I know it is not a very easy subject. Okay? Okay, guys. So let's stop at it. From next class, I will continue with my portions as it is. No more discussions about the internals. If you have any doubts, you can put it across here. Anyway, 5 more minutes is there. The others can log out. If anyone has a question, they can post it or you can speak over the microphone.